So, why businesses aren't hiring? Government taxes, mandates, and regulations, is all that making it too expensive to create new jobs, and what should be done about it? All right, let's talk. We have former Medtronic chairman and CEO Bill George. He teaches at Harvard Business School. He also currently sits on the boards of Goldman Sachs and ExxonMobil. We also welcome small business owner Michael Fleischer. He's the president of Bogan Communications, a leading designer, developer, and manufacturer of communications and audio equipment. Now, Michael Fleischman is the author of the op-ed in today's Wall Street Journal, Why I'm Not Hiring. I want to begin, Michael, with your excellent op-ed piece. Now, from reading your piece, let me make sure I got the arithmetic right. You, the small business, has to put out $74,000 to cover a $59,000 job for the employee whom you named Sally. But Sally only ends up netting $44,000. Now, that is lousy math, if you ask me, and I want to ask you, why is this?
There's a lot of hands in between gross pay and net pay. Some of it is benefits, health care and so forth, but a lot of it is various nickel and dime stuff from governments at all levels that eventually adds up. And then on top of the gross pay is the additional cost that the company bears for health care. And again, the governments at all levels have their hands out. It's really surprising when you put all the data together in one place to see how many times and in how many ways various governments stick their hands into the flow of funds from an employer to an employee.
All right, it's like a huge wedge, I guess. Now, let me just ask you, before I get to Bill George, you're saying your company, for this mythical employee, a middle-class employee, Sally, you have to pay $9,700 of health care. She pays $2,400. Now, I thought that was changing, and I think that's a pretty eye-popping, more bad math. Why is that?
What do you mean by changing? We pay 80% approximately of our employees' health care, and we're pleased to do it. Our employees are terrific, and we try to provide good compensation packages and good benefits. I don't mind that one bit.
All right, you don't mind that one bit. Bill George, looking at the math that Michael Fleischer puts out there, is it just as bad for big companies like Medtronic? You have a huge wedge between gross pay and after-tax pay, including benefits and deductions and taxes?
Well, it is, no doubt. And I think companies should be providing a lot of those benefits. But the thing, Larry, that's really upsetting a lot of business people, large and small, is the uncertainty. They don't know what's coming next. And it seems like every time they turn around, there's a new regulation, a new set of taxes, a new set of something is going to add to their costs, particularly employee costs. So with all that uncertainty, what they're going to do is they're not going to hire. And particularly with domestic growth being so slow, it's only estimated by most CEOs around 2% or less. That's the level of inflation. So they're going to work on productivity. And it's big business. It's often driving those small business jobs. But small business did create, the last 15 years, 70% of all the new jobs. And so I think something particular needs to be done to stimulate hiring and for small business and deal with the issues they're dealing with right now, getting them liquidity, getting them cash.
Well, like what? Like what? Give us an example for something that could help the small businessman like Michael Fleischer.
Well, I would certainly make loans very readily available to them through the Small Business Administration. That's one thing. The second thing I do is I would work on a program of investment tax credits. So as they make investments, they get tax credits back that allows them to have the margins to operate in this country. And that should apply to large businesses as well. I think that could help a great deal. We need to help these people because they're the ones who are going to do the hiring. And we got 26 million people looking for full-time jobs that can't find work, 16.5% of the workforce.
But Michael Fleischer, loans and tax credits, I mean, it doesn't sound like those are the big issues. You're saying the very nub of the paycheck is controlled by the government. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yes, an increasing portion of my cost structure is subject to random whims of government bureaucrats in Washington and Trenton. And that risk is unacceptable. It's not, I don't feel uncertainty. I'm pretty sure what's coming. I'm pretty sure tax increases are coming, regulatory increases are coming, and the cost of health care, which we had managed to keep a lid on for a few years, exploded after health care got reformed. So I think we know what's coming. I know what I would do if this was a normal cyclical downturn. We have lots of ideas for ways to grow our business, and we know exactly who we would want to hire: engineers, marketing people, salespeople. But the risk-reward ratio is out of whack because of what the government is doing. The animal spirits are fine at Bogan Communications, but it feels like Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Barack Obama are on a safari, and small business has a target on its back.
Bill George, another disturbing number from Michael's piece was a big increase in health care premiums, 28%, if I have the number right.
Yeah.
Now, I thought Obamacare was supposed to put a lid on those costs.
Larry, we didn't deal with health care costs. They are rising rapidly. We dealt with health care access. And I believe in health care access, but you have to deal with the cost side. And we didn't deal with it at all. And so those costs are rising rapidly. And the deal that was cut with the insurance companies allows them to go in and put very stiff premiums. And a lot of those health care provisions don't kick in until 2014. So I think we have a real problem in health care, and we have to deal with the costs. Otherwise, it's going to bankrupt Medicare, and it's going to cause businesses like Michael's not to be able to hire because they can't afford the people, or they'll go overseas, or they'll find them somewhere else. So, by the way, you know, on your show a few weeks ago, Secretary Geithner came on and talked to business people only want lower taxes and less regulation. That's not what I hear Michael saying. He's saying he has to protect himself because he's sure there's going to be more regulation and higher taxes and more mandates. That's what he's concerned about. So I think we need to get straight that people like this are pragmatists. They want to build their business. He just told you that. And I think we need to help them because they're the ones to provide the jobs, not federally funded jobs.
He may ask you to invest in it, for all we know, before this program is over. Michael, let me just ask you something regarding the Bush tax cuts. In your case, in your relatively small company, would raising the top personal tax rates affect you adversely?
Yes, absolutely. We will, at a minimum, we'll stop paying dividends, and it may drive us to cut back in other ways. I'll certainly, you know, it will certainly affect spending.
All right, we're going to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Bill George and Michael Fleischer.